Hi everyone, this video is a book review about a book that I accidentally purchased without knowing. And the title of this book is Bewitchments, Love Magic for Modern Romance, and it was written by Dane McCoy. Now, as I stated, I accidentally bought this book. I actually had another Dane McCoy book, if I'm pronouncing her name right. I actually had another one of her books in my cart on Thrift Books, and for some reason, this is the one that was sent to me. I accidentally purchased it, but I feel that it was I feel that it was a message from the universe that this is something that I should focus on right now. So when I do this review, I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite spells from this book, some other spells that can help inform you on how to do very powerful love magic. I have a bunch of objects that I use for my spell work, and also sharing with you some of the personal stories that I have of love spells that succeeded and love spells that failed. So before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about the author and pick up what I dropped on the floor. Hold on. Also, sorry if I look very sweaty. It was a very hot day and the oils in my hair keep going down my body. Today was also my cousin's wedding, so I feel this is a very appropriate day to talk about love and romance in regards to magic. So the author, Dane McCoy. Dane McCoy became a self-initiated witch in 1981 and has been an active part of the pagan community since her formal initiation into a large San Antonio coven in 1983. She has been researching alternative spirituality since her teens, when she was first introduced to Kabbalah, or Jewish mysticism. Since then, she has studied a variety of magical paths, including Celtic witchcraft or Celtic witchcraft, Appalachian folk magic, and curanderismo, if I'm pronouncing that right, a Mexican-American folk tradition. Today, she is part of the Witten Irish pagan tradition, where she is a priestess of Bridget and an elder. An alumnus of the University of Texas with a BA in history, she is active in several professional writers' organizations, is listed in the reference guide Contemporary Authors, and occasionally presents workshops on magical topics or works individually with students who wish to study witchcraft. In real life, she is a licensed stockbroker. So after I read this book, I had some questions, and sometimes, or actually not sometimes, almost all the time, when I have a lot of questions, I'd write the author directly and ask if I can reach them, ask them questions that I have about their book. So I did have some questions in regards to Dane's book, and I went online to try to find how to contact her, and I found out that she had died not too long ago, a couple of years ago actually. So I thought that was pretty sad. Also, I think she may have signed my book, but I do not know if this is her autograph. So if you are a person that knows her handwriting, please let me know if this is her signature, because then that book will be extra, extra special. This book was published in the year 2000. So that means it is 21 years old, yet it is still relevant. What I enjoyed about this book is that it included both manipulative and non-manipulative spell work. A lot of romantic books that I read about love magic would only include non-manipulative spells, which I know for the safety of the reader. They don't know how advanced the reader is in their craft. They don't want anybody to get hurt or feel responsible, spiritually speaking, for anything that the reader does in regards to manipulative magic. So most people just push the harm none, harm none, harm none, as if manipulative magic was not part of many magical traditions. And she mentions that early on in her book. I'm trying to find out where she said something. She said, the most likely reason so many magical practitioners insist that you cannot force love is to try to protect their readers from temptations they know will only bring heartache in the end. Magic of any type, from the simple folk spells of our ancestors to the elaborate rituals of modern ceremonialists, is no more than the shaping and bending of energies that already exist. Like a huge wheel, they rotate around us, coming and going again and again, not only carrying us from our own input of energy onto this wheel, but bringing back to us what we send out. Almost every spiritual system teaches that we will reap what we sow sooner or later, and nowhere is this rebound more evident than in the practice of magic. Using manipulative magic to draw a romantic partner is easily the most tempting of all, because there is no feeling more miserable than unrequited love. That I will agree with. Sometimes you can be so in love with someone that you will do anything to get them back. Even if they are just a bag of trash, you will do anything to get your romantic partner back. And some practitioners actually lose their mind. Like, they literally go insane. They have a mental breakdown trying to use all the forces of the universe to get this person back. Even if you did get them, most often you have to keep doing the spell over and over and over, or they just leave on their own most of the time. But if you want to try it, it's okay. I'm not stopping you. So one of the examples that she gives, and I'm looking for her picture so you can see what she looks like. I like showing pictures of people. She was a blonde lady. I've seen her picture before, but this is what a Dane McCoy looked like. Oops. Can you see her? Hello. Rest in peace. Before you do your working, one of the things that she suggests is to do a divination assistance in avoiding manipulative magic, or to give you an overall view of what your spell could result in. Me, I wish I had had this layout before I had done any of my manipulative magic, because I would have saved myself a lot of trouble. Okay, so this is the layout. These are the tarot cards, or the cards that you lay out for your divination. It is 9 cards, and I'm going to read to you what each card means. 1. The primary need. The card defines the need or desire on which the spell is based. 2. The underlying needs or needs. The second card in the spread provides insights into the root of the desire, the real reason you want an object or situation to manifest or be banished. 3. The hidden influences on the spell and its outcome. This card looks at the energies working on the spell that you may not be aware of. 4. The influence of others on the outcome. Our friends and families usually want the best for us and sincerely hope we achieve all our heart's desires. At least that's what we hope they want. In truth, those well-meaning family members and friends may not want you to have what you desire, and their energy working against you can be just as potent as that of another skilled magician. 5. The spell's weaknesses. This card may indicate which aspects of your spell are in need of attention so they can be altered into the most effective tool possible. 6. The spell's strengths. The 6th card shows you the spell's strengths. It confirms what you're doing right. 7. The unseen or inner world outcome. The astral or unseen world is the realm where all magic must be first conceived, grow, form, and be born. Just because you do not come into contact with this world on a regular basis does not mean you can ignore the impact you're making there. 8. The outer world outcome. This card indicates changes in the physical world that will likely come about by your spell. 9. The final outcome. The 9th card in the spread will show you the probable culmination of your magic. As I stated before, I wish I had done this divination reading before I did any of my manipulative love spells in the past. Because if I had done that, I would have saved myself a lot of heartbreak, trouble, and drama. I once made a honey jar, and I mentioned this in another video. I once made a honey jar to attract a new love in my life. I was like, I want him to be between the ages of like 20 and 40. No, 20 and like 35, because I was about 28 at the time. I want him to have this height. I want him to have this size. I want him to have this personality and blah, 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 blah. Thought I put everything that I wanted in the jar. I thought I had covered everything. And 2 months later, here comes this dude. This dude is exactly 21, which when I said 20 to 35, what I should have said was 30 and older, like 30 to 35. That's what I actually meant, but I wrote 20 because I wasn't thinking. I was just expecting like, oh, they're going to give me like a 30-year-old. No. Next, I did not cover all of the bases. So yes, I did get this person, but they had a toxic parent, and they were a very good son, but their mother was absolutely crazy. She threatened me. She threatened me through texts. She threatened me through phone calls. She came to my apartment at 1 in the morning and said that she had a gun. She stood in the middle of the yard, screaming at the top of her lungs that she was going to shoot me. Did I expect this when I made this honey jar? I don't think so. If I had done a divination reading, the divination probably would have told me that at that time I needed to be single and do self-love work or something. So it is always good to just, before you start, prepare yourself, you know. You don't know what forces are working with the people that you are trying to manipulate with this love magic. You don't know who they have on their side. You don't know if this is going to keep you from your actual true love, or if this is going to be a stepping stone to getting to your actual true love. She lists the 6 prerequisites of successful magic, which I'm going to go through briefly because some of you might be seasoned practitioners, so you don't really need to hear it. But if you are new, this may help you. The 6 prerequisites: 1, a desire or need; 2, your emotional involvement; 3, knowledge to do the spell and see it through to its conclusion; 4, belief in the outcome; 5, the ability to keep your own counsel; 6, the willingness to back up your magic in the physical world. I think numbers 2, your emotional involvement, belief in the outcome, which is number 4, and the willingness to back up your magic in the physical world, out of all of this list, are the most important, at least, according to me. Because sometimes you'll send something, but you won't put the emotion behind it. You have to put emotion behind these things, so it can give you a force. Your emotion is the fire of your spell. Also, your belief in the outcome. When you send a spell, you have to know that it is working. You can't have any edge of doubt. You don't know what forces or what your forces that you're working with are going to do to bring you what you want. One time, I did a spell for a girl for a beauty pageant, and she wanted to win the beauty pageant, so I did the spell. I don't know how in hell this girl won this beauty pageant, because there was another girl that was like on point with everything. She had the dress, she had the look. The one that I did the spell for, like, she was okay. She did a good job, but it wasn't like that other girl. Everybody thought the other girl would win. But for some reason, the other girl did something that disqualified her, and the girl I did the spell for won. I didn't know what the energies were doing. I didn't know that there were all these different rules for the pageant. I didn't know that. Yet, because I believed that no matter what, she was going to win. That is exactly what happened. So now I'm going to share with you some of the spells that the author lists in this book. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I have from my collection that I use sometimes on a frequent basis. The first thing is making a love oil. She calls it a love filter, which is basically a love oil. So if you are new to this, you can listen. If you're not, you can skip or you can review. So the dream filter. For most of her spells, she puts the nature, which is it non-manipulative or manipulative? The number of items you'll need, which for this spell is 2+ items. The time frame, which is 30 minutes for initial creation, and the best timing, which is the new or full moon. She said filters are small vials of blended oils or waters that were popular magical devices of the Middle Ages. Greek, or filter, is Greek for philtron, meaning to love. So in your magical oil or magical waters, you infuse it with herbs, you psychically cleanse it, and you put herbs related to your goal, what you want to do. Do you want it to be lust? Do you want it to be love? Do you want rich men? Do you want rich women? Like, what do you want? And you find these things associated to your goal, your herbs, your oils, your essential oils, and you put them and mix them in your filter, and you psychically cleanse it and put it on before you go out. So what I have right here is my filter, which I sell in my friend's store. It's called Radiant Roots. That's the name of my little magical thing, Radiant Roots. And this is a Jezebel oil. It's called Frequency, Freak. Frequency, Jezebel's jingle. And before I go out, I put it on my hand. What is that noise? Put it on my hand. I put it behind my ears. I put it on my chest. I put it on my wrists. And I put it behind my kneecaps. And I go out. I've been using it for about a month or so, and it's working pretty well for me. It's been increasing my attention, which I kind of don't want, but I was testing it out. As you can see, this is my little Jezebel oil. I infuse the herbs and chant over it and all of that, and put it in my oil, or put it in my filter. So the main ingredient in this is the Jezebel root. Whatever filter you want to make, you can make it. You can make a filter to end somebody's love for you. You can make a filter to increase your beauty. It's whatever it is that you want. You just have to research the herbs related to the end in mind. The next spell is the hair and mirror divination. It is non-manipulative. It is 2 items. You need 30 minutes, and you perform it just before sunset on a Monday. She states, from the mountains of southern Appalachia comes another spell to help you see psychic visions of your future mate. Though custom specifies this as a process that works for women, there is no reason a man may not use it. So about half an hour before sundown, go into a darkened room, illuminated only by a single candle, sit before the mirror, and begin rhythmically brushing your hair down over your face so that it covers your eyes. Do this for at least 100 strokes. Counting each stroke to yourself can help lull your mind into a receptive state for psychic visions. You see? So don't worry. After 100 strokes, stop and peer through the veil of your hair into the mirror to see the images of your future mate. If the images don't appear instantly, don't worry. However, don't do this. This ritual should not proceed into the hours of darkness, or the reflection seen will be visions of your own funeral. So I plan to do this spell the next time I get my hair washed. And I went to the store to go look for a magical mirror. I'm getting a black scrying mirror very soon that I'll be using for my castings. But let me show you the mirror that I found at the store. Hold on. Let me see it. Okay. This right here. Oh, you can see it. Hey, is this up? This right here is my little golden mirror. Right? It's golden. I'm going to paint it gold and put glitter on it because it's a magical mirror. It's going to be sacred. Next, in her little spell book, also about hair, things to wash your hair with. So to make yourself attractive to the opposite sex, wash your hair in a mixture of lemon and lavender. To cause someone to fall out of love with you, use licorice. You can also use your hair if you braid your hair. Braided hair was used by Celtic women in binding magic. Though braided hair was accepted by both men and women, so strong was the knowledge that a woman's braid could be used to cast a spell over a man that by tradition she had to come to her wedding with her hair loose. So if you are a person that likes to braid their hair, you can probably just sit and chant your lover's name or the person that you're trying to attract as you braid your hair. Me, it takes 7 hours to braid my hair, so I probably would only chant like 30 minutes as I'm braiding. I'll be like, you can also use somebody else's hair in manipulative magic. It's really easy to use. It's really powerful if you can get an object from the person. So I have one hair from my current person I'm talking to. I don't know why they gave me. What is that noise? Yeah, I don't know why he gave me his hair, but if you're the type that likes hair, you can put it in a poppet, you can put it in a honey jar, or you can hold it and visualize your love coming to you, or that you have control over them. Like you can use a string and tie it and put it in a freezer or something. All sorts of things. Next spell. Poppets at the crossroads. Just speaking of poppets. So a poppet is like a little doll. You'll call it a voodoo doll. But the best way to make a poppet is to make it yourself. You know, like you cut out the fabric. You, preferably if it's a person's clothing, that would be even more powerful. You cut out the poppet. You write what you want in it. You put objects related to the person, and this poppet symbolizes this person. You can also make a poppet of yourself, and you can use it for the workings. You can have a poppet of you and a poppet of him or her and bind it with string, or do different rituals to bring the poppets together so that on this physical plane, they will come to you. I made a poppet one time with one of my old friends. We did it on her ex. And when I say that poppet jumped, it jumped because he was bothering her. So we made a poppet to get him away from her. We had his shirt. We wrote like Hebrew mantras. We made his ears very large so he could hear the voice of God to leave her alone. We put his feet to walk away, and that poppet jumped by itself. Freaked us out. So, because we did like some ritual over it. And let me tell you that the first day he was going crazy because the spell was working. The second day he was going a little bit crazy but calming down. And then less than a week, he peacefully left her alone. So you don't have to use poppets to just make someone fall in love with you. You can also use it to make them go away, to bring peace, all sorts of things. You don't even have to make a poppet on a lover. You can make one on your child. You can make one on your boss, like anybody that you want. But you have to research how to safely disassemble the poppet so nobody gets hurt, and so you don't get hurt in the process either. The next spell is called You Hold the Key, and it requires a key and a string. Now the key that I have is right here, and you get a string to bind the key. So how you do this spell is you speak your goal 3 times into the key's hole. This is also a point where your spell can be made manipulative if you dare to tread that dark path. So if you want somebody to fall in love with you, you could say that person's name. So-and-so loves me, so-and-so loves me, so-and-so loves me, so-and-so loves me, whatever. He loves me, he loves me. Be specific about what you want. Don't just say, oh, he loves me. You can say, he loves me and he begins a relationship with me. He loves me and he begins a relationship with me. He loves me, whoever he is or she is. Or you could say, she listens, or she respects me, whoever it is. And you take your string or your thread, but most likely just a string. You slide it through the keyhole and you make 9 knots, because 9 is a sacred number. Next, take the cord and thread it through the keyhole. Make a large tight knot in the center to hold it. As you do this, visualize your desire being locked into the knot. If you're using the optional candle, try to view the flame through the keyhole. Oh, wait, hold up. What flame? Okay, take the key. Okay, hold up. I skipped a part. Take the key. The first step is taking the key and blowing through its opening 3 times. Then, it says that in European folklore, this is how the attentions of friendly spirits are attained. It is also a method for making wishes, so long as the key has been used for this purpose before. As you blow, visualize spirits sympathetic to your goals being summoned to help you in your spell. Also, focus on your goal of attracting love as a magical wish in and of itself. Then after that, you're tying the knots. Carry the talisman with you, preferably on the left side of your body. The left side is considered to be the side that attracts energy, while the right side is the side that projects it. Renew the power of your talisman once a month during the full moon. You do not have to take it apart. Only mentally project new life into your goal through its symbolism. So I am probably going to do this spell because there is someone I really want. And I just want him played. Just come to me. But anyway, it is your decision, whatever repercussions you want to face. The next spell, Nettles to Nullify. Now, nettles is stinging nettles. That's an herb. It's very good as a tea, nettle leaf, all of that. It also helps with dandruff and hair growth and all of that. But for this spell, we are going to use it on our enemies. To help break up the romance of 2 other people, scatter an area over which they will walk together with nettles. Do this near the time of the new moon for 3 consecutive months. Be sure to protect your hands, since nettles sting and can cause severe allergic reactions. A friend who lived in Arizona for many years says she knows people who have used cactus needles in the spell to good effect. So if you don't have a actually, I'll explain that later in another spell, because I have a short story to share. Next spell, take a powder. And this section tells you how to make magical powders with different herbs. And you can use a coffee grinder, or you can use a mortar and pestle, which I did. I was mortar and pestling, I was crushing orris root. That's why it smells so good. But as you crush your herbs, you focus on your intention, or you say a chant. You can do it rhythmically during candlelight or during a certain moon phase, if you wish. And crush the herbs, add them to your spell. Crush the herbs, add them to your oil. So some of the powders that she has listed, there's Come to Me powder. No. I'm going to give you an easy one. Love Me powder, to produce feelings of love in another. 3 parts rosemary, half part yarrow, half part orris root. Now what they mean by parts is equal measurements. So if it is a cup, it would be 3 cups of rosemary, half a cup of yarrow, half a cup of orris root. You can also do this with teaspoons or tablespoons, whatever measurement you wish to use. Orris root powder, I think, is really strong because it's very perfumey. It smells very sweet. It is from the iris flowers, and there was a courtesan in the past that used it to powder her clothing and skin to attract men. But of course, during her time period and in her culture, they really didn't bathe. So I think just taking a bath was the first step to standing out in the crowd. Because most of those courtesans could take baths, or they took daily baths and exercise, and that's really what enhanced their beauty because they were hygienic. Lust powder, to arouse the feelings of passion in another. 3 parts hibiscus, 2 parts damiana, which is a sexual stimulant, and 1 part cinnamon or allspice. Next is fidelity powder, to keep someone faithful to you when they are apart from you. 4 parts rue, but you got to be careful because rue can cause abortions. Half part rosemary and half part basil or aspen leaves. Mexican tradition tells us that to make powders work, you cannot be seen sprinkling them. It also states that you must use the original birth name of the person to whom you are directing any magic with power or powder. This may take some effort on your part to discover. You also want to mix it in places where the person is located, but if you can't find them, that's okay. You can still make the powder and incorporate it into whatever spell you are using. Hold on. Banishing a rival. I got a rival. Actually, I have maybe like 2 rivals, but I have 1 designated rival because I really don't like that girl. But I've never done any spell working against her. She's very mean. So your rival could be somebody that's just got you messed up. That's 1. Your rival could be somebody that's pursuing somebody that you want. The nature of this is manipulative. The number of items is 5. It takes several hours to prepare, and it is over 7 night periods, starting just after the full moon or any day. It's from the voodoo tradition or Vodun tradition. It's this spell to cause a rival for someone's affection to become disinterested. For this you will need a small glass bowl that has not been used before, a cup of stagnant water, 2 teaspoons of vinegar, some ground angelica, and some lime juice. On a night during the waning phase of the moon, go outdoors and mix all ingredients together using a wooden spoon. While holding the mixture close to your face, breathe into it while verbally intoning the goal of your spell. Spit into the mixture, then go unseen to pour it on the front porch of your rival. Do this unseen for 7 consecutive nights. Now, my main rival has been my rival for about 11 years, and we just avoid each other, even though we live in the same town. So she's really not a problem anymore, but we can't be in the same room. Like, that's how deep our rivalry is. But the second rival was someone that was trying to pursue the dude I liked. But the issue was I couldn't find where she lived because she doesn't live in town. She lives far away, as well as the person I like lives far away too. So how can you do a spell when somebody is miles and miles away from you? So how I did this, but it wasn't this particular spell, it was another one, still in the workings. What I did was I found a location to leave the remnants of my spell that were associated with travel because she lives far away. I decided to leave the remnants on or near the train tracks that were heading to the airport because the airport is flying through the air. It's going in the direction of the airport. It's carrying them away. If your rival lives far away, you can use their photograph. You can write their name if you can find their full name. You can, I would say use a photograph, and I would also say use a poppet. This spell in particular, I think, like this is kind of intense because that's 7 nights of work, so you really have to hate this person and not get caught for 7 nights. But if you don't want to do that, how I would alter it is you pour it on a photograph of your rival if you can get it, or if you don't know who they are. She also has a spell to find out who your rival is, discovering your rival. It says, if you are not sure who your romantic rival is, but you have several suspicious persons in mind, you can try this Appalachian Mountain spell for discovering that person's identity. For this, you will need a stick and fire. And then it says, heat the stick in the flame until it's red hot. Then take it outdoors to an area near your home where you know your mate will have to walk over to come home to you. With the red hot tip, scrawl the name of your suspected rival on the ground. The name should not be easily visible to anyone but you, but still should be clearly there. Make sure to watch to see if your mate walks across this area on his or her way indoors. If your mate later complains of sore or burning feet, you have written the name of the right person. If there is no complaint, repeat the spell the following evening with another name. Now, me personally, I can't do that because the person I like isn't even here. So you have to alter the spell. If you're in a long distance relationship or something, I would say alter the spell by using photographs. Next spell. Oh, and by the way, the other spell that I did, she actually moved even further away. Next. Okay, hold up. Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth spell. Now, as I stated, I make my magical oil. I only make 2 magical oils, a money oil and a Jezebel oil. But I like to order oils from online. So this one, I would suggest the Tell Me the Truth spell. You should use, there's one called Do As I Say, which I used on my boss, and also Commanding Oil, which I ran out of, but Do As I Say and Commanding Oil, I would mix both of them together. I mixed the Commanding Oil into this one as well. I used it on my boss to successfully change my schedule to get Saturdays off, and now I am off the whole weekend. It took 2 months. But if you want to do that, I would say get Commanding Oil or Do As I Say oil, or preferably both. And you have to find an object that looks like an everyday harmless object that can be seen but will not cause anyone to question its presence. If you expect truths to be told in your home, you might select a piece of statuary or some other knickknack, like maybe a fork or a plant, a house plant or something. And if you'll be out when you expect the truths to be told, you'll do best to select a small piece of jewelry you can visibly wear. You'll also need some primrose and sunflower oil, either the dried sunflowers or the essential oils. On the night that the moon turns from dark to light, again, a time of magically associated with revelations, take your selected truth object and press it against your forehead. So my selected truth object for here is this talisman I have for love. I could wear it, I don't know. So I'm going to press my truth object against my head. Actually, I'm going to anoint it with my Do As I Say oil first. Then I press it up against my head. Rub or anoint the item with primrose or sunflower oil, both foliage associated with bringing truth to light. As you do this, speak words such as name of the object. So I'd be like, love talisman. Stand as a guardian wall to compel the truth from one and all. Each one who speaks after you, he does see, may only tell the truth to me. To keep your object working optimally, re-anoint it monthly on the new moon with primrose and sunflower while visualizing its desired function. That's pretty interesting. Now, I had something like that happen before, but I didn't use an object. I was hearing voices. This was when I was like 27. There's this voice that comes every few years, and it's the same voice, and whatever it says is true. So this voice told me the location of a person that was lying to me. They told me where they were sitting, what they were doing right then and there, what location they were at, what table. It was literally insane. But if you aren't to that point yet, you can use different things like this object. You can put it not just like in your home, you can do it in your office, you can have a jewelry, like different things. So you'll always be ready to hear the truth. Next, once upon a time. So you write this story, like once upon a time, like a storybook, except in this story, you make it to how you want your love story to go. Nowadays, they would call it scripting. They call it story spells, but now it's called scripting. I almost said stripping. Now it's called scripting, and you write it as if it's already happened. You write it in detail from beginning to end. When the story reads exactly the way you wish it to, go someplace where you will be alone and unheard so you can read the story aloud to yourself several times, which with each reading clearly visualize the events being played out in your mind and hear your voice carrying it into all the worlds so that the very act of reading your words becomes a supplication for its manifestation. Put in as much detail as possible and don't forget to be fanciful. So, for example, how I would write my Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, Kiara and blank, because that dude or whatever. Once upon a time, Kiara and that dude fell in love. And everything was so romantic, and they had deep conversations, and they would travel everywhere. And then, after such and such a time, he proposed to her, and yada, yada, yada. 2.3 years or months later, they had their first child, and they had money falling from the sky, and they were in good health, and they grew more beautiful every year. Like, just outlandish. I want to, or like a woman, like, let's say you're a man that wants a woman. I see the most beautiful woman. She enters into the room and our eyes meet. Once upon a time, I was strolling to the park and I heard a beautiful voice singing. And I was like, what is that voice? And I followed it into the crevices of the forest. And what did I see? A beautiful goddess sitting, walking with her Pomeranian? Chihuahua. Oh my, fair queen. Or whatever, I don't know. You can get as salty or as Disney-like as you want. You can even add some voices in a musical number if you want. It's your story. Next, last spell is bringing out the green-eyed monster. For reasons I have never been able to understand, many people feel that inducing jealousy in someone else is a constructive pastime. For anyone still determined to try to make a lover or potential lover jealous, I offer you another spell based on one I learned from my friend Lupita. You will need a cup of milk, which is spoiled, some yellow and green food colorings, or a few drops of rancid oil. You will also need a photo of the one you want to make jealous, or if you do not have one, you may substitute a personal item belonging to them, or else you will need to know of a place where they walk each day. Candles in pale green and yellow are optional for this spell. If you're using the candles, place the items you'll be using for your spell between them and the light before you start. Visualize them as causing the burn of jealousy to rise in the one to whom you're directing the spell. Add the rancid oil or food coloring to your spoiled milk. Invest the milk with many ugly feelings of jealousy as you can. When you feel you've made the milk as much a cauldron of jealous feelings as you can, pour it onto the photo of the one you wish to make jealous, or take it to where this person will be walking every day. Allow several weeks for the spell to fully manifest itself, then repeat if needed. So I don't have like a photo of the person. I've done this in the past, like trying to make somebody jealous, but I never did a spell. I'm just like, I'm going to look cute and I'm going to get my revenge body. But now what I do is I just dress up everywhere I go. I try to make sure I go out of the house looking so cute and camera ready, just in case I run into an enemy. And the only time I've ever done something where I'm like, I'm going to make this person jealous is my rival, the one of like 11 or 12 years, was at the same funeral I was at. And I knew she was going to be there. So I dressed up so pretty. And I was giving a eulogy. And I gave the best eulogy ever. I also had my paintings up because the person that had died was an artist. So I had my paintings up. So she saw my painting because she was in the same field that I was. So at the end of the funeral, why this girl tried to fight me in the most pettiest way? She's tried to fight me. Which means that the energy of me trying to make her jealous worked. It wasn't that I wanted her to be me or I wanted to be her. I just wanted to just shove it. Sometimes you just want to shove it into people. But sometimes the person isn't a rival. Sometimes it's a person that you're in love with. And you want them to see what they lost. So I would use this, but not to the point where you lose your mind. Because sometimes you can become so absorbed, it becomes an obsession. And you actually start to mentally harm yourself. So be sure that it doesn't get to extreme levels where you start looking silly or crazy. I have another person. There is another spell in here which was breaking a love spell. In most of the spells you notice, you use the objects belonging to the person that you want to affect. So this one I'm going to be using for a fall out of love with me spell. It is a bracelet that belongs to someone who is in love with me. In the back of the book, she not only has a glossary, she has an appendix. She separates metals, colors, and stones, foliage, and herbs and oils that are associated with certain workings related to love. And this will help you when you are trying to craft your own magical oils. So thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope that you learned something today and that I didn't bore you. Hopefully your love spells become as successful as the spells in this book. And remember that true love is within yourself, that you are love, you are romance. When you love yourself, you become a magnet for romance. And enjoy your period of singleness if you're single. Some of you have been single maybe for a long time, but just know, like, when you truly start enjoying being single, I notice that a person comes because it's like, oh, they're happy. Okay, let's send somebody. I don't know why it works that way. When you stop looking, it gets sent. So thank you everyone for watching and have a beautiful love life.